Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise and welcome your Hall of Fame inductees for 2013. Please take your seats. And first, before I forget, and I know he's probably already out the door and in his car, but I'd like to thank Piper Jeff Sim, a former lacrosse player in his own right, for bringing the inductees in. Thank you, Simmer. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight on behalf of the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame Board of Governors. We've got a full house tonight, which is fantastic. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. I know those of you who may have been here last year, I had said that I was not going to be doing this particular job this year. But the opportunity to make Dwight and Dallas feel old was just so inviting, and I just couldn't resist. So here we go again, another kick at the cat. Special welcome, of course, to all of our out-of-town visitors. We've got a tremendous group of out-of-towners tonight. We've got people from upstate New York. We have, of course, our usual contingent from Ontario, and a huge crowd of people from, of course, Manitoba and Alberta. Now, of course, those latter groups don't have a football team to cheer for anymore, so they don't have an awful lot else to do with their time. And I thought, actually, that the Winnipeg and Edmonton contingents were out here, of course, to support Dwight and Keith. But I checked the weather this morning. I saw it was -10 and snowing in Winnipeg and -16 and snowing in Edmonton. So I got a hunch they're out here for more than just to support their family members. In fact, CLA President Joey Harris missed his flight this morning from Winnipeg, and he was so desperate to get out of the cold weather, he managed to hop another flight to be with us tonight. Now, just a couple of bits of business, first of all, or one bit of business. If you see on your table, there's a trivia contest form there. There are prizes for the trivia contest for each table, and these prizes donated by the BC Lacrosse Association. So fill those out at your leisure. For those of you guys who are actually trivia answers, I'm not quite sure whether to feel sorry for you or to be proud of you. But members of the BCL executive will come around at the end of dinner, pick these up, tally up the scores, and there are prizes for the tables that win. Now, without any further ado now, I'd like to invite Chairman of the Hall of Fame Board of Governors, Tony Glavin, to step forward and offer greetings and a few words on behalf of the Hall. Tony?
Thank you, Dave. Well, hello all, and welcome firstly to our tonight's honored inductees and their families, particularly, as Dave said, those who have traveled so far to get here. Many greetings to you on behalf of the board. Also, welcome to the many current members of the Hall of Fame that are here. It's great to see you all out as you come every year. We really appreciate your attendance here and catching up. Thanks to the elected officials that are here. Chuck Puckmeyer's here for the City of New West. Judy Darcy, our MLA in New Westminster. Thank you for showing up. Regrets from Finn Donnelly, the Member of Parliament. Joey Harris is here from the CLA as President. Thank you. Jim Burke. Where's Berkey? There's Berkey from the Canadian Lacrosse Foundation. Thanks for coming, Jim. Dean McLeod is here from the East, our Eastern Selection Committee. Welcome, Dean. And of course, welcome to our members of the board and all friends of lacrosse that join us here tonight. Thanks for showing up. We want tonight to be a very memorable and special occasion for all of you as we honor some of the great names to play this really, truly great sport. We hope tonight's going to be wonderful for you. In a moment, I'd like to give you a quick overview of the plans that the Hall has over the next year. We've been working in the last 12 months on it, and we'll be working very, very vigorously in the next 12 months to move us into this fabulous new facility. We're not occupying all of it, a part of it. It would be nice to have all of it, and we could probably fill it, frankly, but it's going to be wonderful, and I'll talk to you about that shortly. Firstly, though, I wanted to say that since becoming chairman in June of this year, I've really very quickly come to appreciate the magnitude of the work that goes into this event, the magnitude of the work actually that goes into getting us moved into this new facility, and all the volunteers that spend a great deal of time making this a special moment for people here and making this hall a great testament to our great game, our great summer sport. And I'm going to single out a few at the risk of missing a few names, and please forgive me if I do. But I really have to point out a special thank you to the BC Lacrosse Association. They have been the behind-the-scenes, quiet players in setting up this banquet for some time. Thank you very much to Sowen Gill, Rochelle Winterton, Dave Showers, Jeff Gombar, and others. Dave did a great job on the program as well. Rochelle is here this morning at 9 o'clock setting up. These folks, they're behind the scenes all the time, but they do a wonderful job of putting this event on, and thank you very, very much. The person on our board that is charged with doing the organizing of this event, she is, in my view, Mrs. Lacrosse in this community in British Columbia, Corinne Perryman on our board. Thanks, Corinne. Great work. Corinne, of course, was assisted ably by Rick Wills, who is promising to take over and give Corinne a little bit of slack. So thanks, Rick, wherever you are. He's running out the door. Yeah. Of course, big thanks to Dave Evans. He's been threatening to leave us for some time. I can tell you now, this is it's an announcement that we've been waiting to make for quite some time. I've locked him up for the next 10 years. I've got him in a no-trade clause. He's going to be our MC for the next 10 years. Thanks very much, Dave Evans. The work that is going into to put this hall together, this new hall, it's very exciting. We couldn't do it without the support and the financing, frankly, of the City of New Westminster. So we must thank them as one of our major benefactors in the move of the hall, and thank you very much to the City of New Westminster. Our other major benefactor that has been really terrific in assisting us with funding has been the Canadian Lacrosse Foundation, and Jim Burke, with his leadership and insight and assistance, frankly, with this board and this move. Jim, thank you very much. You'll notice in your program tonight that we have a corporate sponsor, and that's probably something you'll see a little bit more of it in the years to come, to provide the funding to put on a good show. So Shape Properties came in and kicked in a chunk of change this year, and we thank them for their sponsorship. Thank you. Without taking too much time, I really would be remiss if I didn't mention a few people on our board that have done a lot of work. I can tell you, to get this thing going, to meet with the designers, the architects, the City of New Westminster has been a lot of time off of our work. And I want to thank Dave Lancaster, the vice chair of the board. He's out there. Say hello to him and pat him on the back. He's done a great job helping me with this project. Thanks, Dave. Dave Soul on the board is doing a great job as usual. He's the numbers man, our treasurer, and is updating our website, and has been a great rep for us on the CLA. Thank you, Dave. We have a new acquisitions and archives director, Dave Stewart-Candy. He spends hours and hours, any spare time he has, he spends it in there getting our archives and acquisitions together. Thank you very much, Dave. Ted Howe. Ted Howe is now on our board from the east. We've got more folks from out of province now on our board. We got Mike Laloon, Steve's brother. Steve's on the board as well. And Ted Howe's been excellent. Thanks to Ted Howe, and please pass that along, Dean. Paul Horn has been our communications person, does a great job. He's done our new newsletter. You'll see it out there. Please take the time to fill out the green sheets, get your contact information in there so you can get the quarterly newsletter that we're now putting out. And Paul, you did a great job on the first one. Thank you very much, Paul. Also, big thanks to Murray Lehman, Bob Stewart, Rick Wills, and Terry Blair, who make out our board, who are always working very, very hard. How much time do I have, Bill? Sorry. I got to say thank you to one last person. My predecessor, Randy Radonich. Randy is a person who, like most of the folks in the BCLA, would work in the corner. They would do the hard work behind the scenes. He wasn't stepping up to accept the accolades for the work that he did with the Hall. He's been with the Hall for 15 years. He's been our chair, or past chair now, but was the chair for the last 7. He did a wonderful job, and I think we really, really owe a lot of gratitude to Randy Radonich as our past chairman. So just to conclude, the future is right before you. We're going to have a new hall that's dynamic. It's not going to be static. It's going to change. So when you come in, you're going to see some exhibits. But you might come 6 months later and you'll have a totally different look to it. It's going to be fiber optic, and it'll have a lot of digital stuff that you can look through and see all the great photos and memories from years past at the new hall. We've modernized our web. We were going to the new facility, new governance. One of the things that we have done is we've got a new logo. And we put it out. I'm not going to steal his thunder, but in a moment, Paul and Dave will come up to unveil officially the new logo. I'll say 2 more things before I leave then. Firstly, we're doing a lot of fundraising and marketing. If you have those skill sets, please talk to me, because we would be very much interested in having you join our board and helping us with that. We're looking to move to do some traveling road shows, come out east, take exhibits out to Man Cups and Mintos that are played out east, maybe go out to a Toronto Rock game and do a big thing. We're having a Hall of Fame night with the new Vancouver Stealth. So we need the funding. The Canadian Lacrosse Foundation has assisted us greatly with that, but we're going to need to do some fundraising, and you can always bequeath all of your wealth to us at any time when you are passing along. Thanks again, everybody. Without any further ado, I'm going to pass you along to very quickly to Paul Horn and to Dave Stewart-Candy to unveil our new logo. Thanks very much.
I'd now like to ask Member of the Legislature for New Westminster, Judy Darcy, to step forward and just say a few words on behalf of the provincial government in greeting. Judy?
Thank you very much, Dave, and thank you to Tony. Isn't that a wonderful logo? Wow. I'm really thrilled to be here for the first time. I was just elected in May, so it's my first opportunity to come to the annual induction into the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, and I'm really excited to be here tonight. How many people here are from New Westminster? Okay, well, you know that in New Westminster we live and breathe lacrosse, right? Lacrosse is religion in New Westminster. And anyway, just wonderful to see many old friends and to meet new friends and to be sitting at a table of people who have, I think, 3 generations of lacrosse players just at the table that I'm sitting at here with Chuck Puckmeyer, who is City Councillor in New Westminster and former MLA, who of course has done so much to also bring about the reality that the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame will be in the new Westminster City Hall, and I'm really, really looking forward to being there and when we cut the ribbon next year, because New Westminster will certainly welcome you with full colors, with flying colors. So I don't want to stand between you and your dinner. That's a very, very dangerous thing for anybody to do, and especially a politician. So I certainly won't do that. But I want to take this opportunity to congratulate every single one of the inductees who were up here tonight, who are being honored by you tonight. It's such a well-deserved honor, and I want to congratulate them with all of you. And I want to just thank and congratulate all of you who work so hard day in and day out, 365 days a year, to make lacrosse the wonderful sport that it is in Canada, the wonderful sport that it is in British Columbia, and the wonderful sport that it is in our community here in New Westminster. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to be before you this evening telling you the results of a contest that we put out across Canada called Mojo Our Logo. And this was a bit of a symbolic event. A logo normally is nothing much more than a symbol on a piece of paper, but in our case, it represents a bit of history passing before our eyes. Tonight, if everything goes according to plan, is the last time we do this way in this building as we move towards our new facility. And as you heard our chair say, a new way of doing things in terms of how the hall itself actually operates. We know that this is a game that is celebrated at every age, and we wanted to make sure that young people across the country got a chance to participate in representing it the way that they thought it should be. We asked them to think about its traditional roots. We asked them to think about how it would look to them in a modern day. And our winning contestant came from Ontario, a young lady by the name of Kelta Ryden. And Kelta gave us a depiction that you will see on the front of your programs and throughout the other publications that you've got. And it is a design that captures the traditional wooden stick, the dynamism of the game, and the Canadian flavor. And it's no accident that the sticks are embedded right into the maple leaf because, of course, this game is embedded right in our heritage, in our culture. So this logo is our signal that the move that we're making to the Anvil Centre is more than a physical move, but a psychological and philosophical move for us as well. And so tonight we unveil our new logo and our new future. Sure we do. There we go. As you heard our chair say a few moments ago, we will be sending out a quarterly newsletter, and we would really love to have you be a recipient of that. It's another example of how we'd like for the hall to be truly interactive and truly pan-Canadian. So please not only give us your email address tonight, but share the word with others. Go on Facebook, go on Twitter, and like us. We like to be liked. And share the word that the hall is not just for people who live in the southwest corner of British Columbia. The hall is representative of Canada and is for all of Canada, and our logo is meant to share that as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Paul and Tony. His career as an expert in the face-off circle, an outstanding offensive performer, and above all, a great clutch player, have now earned him his rightful spot in the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, Joey Todd.
Wow, this is quite an honor. I'm thinking about, most of the time I think about, I was looking at the book with all the people that are in this in this hall, and I seen Don Ashby's name. When I was a kid in Peterborough, Don Ashby was playing there, and we have a lacrosse school there that was just down the street. It was the old Miller Bowl, it was called. And the kids you'd just go down there, and they'd have a senior player, one of the senior players running the school. Don Ashby was the first one. Then Harry Whipper was the next one, you know, and these guys are from out here. I heard, and Harry Whipper just passed away a little while ago, and I'm sorry to hear that. But you know, it's always the guys that you look up to that bring you to play the games. You know, and it's the coaches and the managers. We just show up, and these people bring us in and get us to play a game that you love to play. And I'll tell you that. Oh, there's one other thing I want to mention. My first wife, actually, she was an amazing woman that I had kids early, and she looked after the kids. I wasn't around much, and you know, I just want to mention her name and let you know that I do appreciate what she did for me. Now I have another one, and she's sitting here with me, and she actually put my name in. So, you know, that's it's funny how things turn out, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much.
It's been said that longevity and respect are the measuring sticks of excellence in refereeing. And this 2013 Hall of Fame builder has those attributes in abundance. Please welcome Ron Crisato.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests and new inductees into the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. Just touching on what Mr. Fulton said about the 1965 series in Queen's Park, I think there's some referees on table 26 that may have done that series. I'm honored and humbled to be on the stage tonight and be part of the celebration. Thank you, Tony Glavin, Director of the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, and to the BCLA office. To the on-floor officials that I worked with for the past 35 years, and a lot are here tonight to support me, thank you. It means a lot. This may be an individual award, but it's definitely a team effort, and I would not be standing in front of you this evening without their support and the support from the referees that came before me, and for the group that I refereed with the last 20 years. Thank you. Thank you to Pat Bensmiller for the nomination for her hard work and research. And I want you to get this. She cut her Mexican vacation short by 1 week to be here this evening. To my friends at St. Thomas More and to all those that supported me over the years, thank you. To my dedicated driver for this evening, Janice Sigvason, thank you. And by the way, Doug, the three worst crease offenders were yourself, Doug Hayes, and Dennis Quigley. I told a good friend of mine, Darryl Hall, that one day I would write a book on my 33 years in senior lacrosse, my 9 years in the professional league, my 16 years at St. Thomas More coaching their grade 8 football program. And this is what I know for sure. The first chapter would be dedicated to my beautiful wife, Christine, and my two children, Andrea and Brent. And if you do the math, after 41 years of marriage, she's still my biggest fan. In closing, I know my mom and dad are looking down on me this evening and are very proud. And actually, they are my Hall of Famers. Thank you.
Tonight he completes the Hall of Fame trifecta with induction into the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. But it's not the only trifecta he celebrates this year. On August 31st of this year, he celebrated his 80th birthday, and on September 26th of this year, he and his wife Catherine toasted their 60th wedding anniversary. So tonight completes a very special hat trick for a very special builder, Ron Winterbottom.
I just had to ask where they got all that information from, because I certainly didn't give it to them, and I was surprised that you had that much. But anyway, I'm here. I just can't get over it yet when I got the word that I was receiving this honor. So all I can say is thank you to everyone who put this together for me and brought it here. And you know, here we are in the year 2013, and it's just winding down. And it's certainly been a really exciting year, as pointed out. My wife turned 82, and they didn't tell you that. And I turned 80, and we had our 60th wedding anniversary, and here I am here tonight. So it's been quite a year. I hope it continues for another 20 years. As I said, it sure was a surprise when I received the telephone call advising that I had been inducted into this Hall of Fame. It's such a great honor. There are many members of the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, and there are many members of them from St. Catharines whom I looked up to when I was a youngster, watching them play, then being coached by some of them. And they were some of the guys that made it possible for me to be here tonight. Many of them are not around today, but we thank them all. The selection committee certainly have a monumental task. My goodness, look at all of the inductees and the people here and the careers, and how do you choose, you know, when you're sitting there, and all the work you put into it. It's just wonderful, and you receive a lot of credit and a lot of thanks for your dedication and your time and efforts. So again, a wonderful job you're doing. I'm really proud and honored to receive this award. I feel it belongs to Lacrosse and St. Catharines as well. Our old boys support minor, junior, senior, and ladies lacrosse in St. Catharines. The old boys also have a scholarship fund. The students who excel in school and lacrosse can apply for this award to assist their financing and their further education. And this is a program that we have because we raise money a little bit at our picnics and our dances and turkey rolls and whatever. We have received some information, believe it or not, that the Old Boys Lacrosse Association in St. Catharines, excuse me, it existed as far back as 1921, and it is still going strong. I especially share this honor with my loving wife and family. Catherine has always supported me. I got two of the boys here with me tonight. And, you know, she was always very often left on her own to look after the family, 3 girls and 3 boys. And here I was away having fun, playing and coaching and doing all these things for lacrosse. I played hockey and I played lacrosse and I coached, and I was often called on, as they pointed out, to officiate. I umpired girls baseball. I umpired I refereed minor lacrosse. I was an official at all major rowing regattas for many years. Our 3 boys were good oarsmen, and they did very well. I thank Kay for so much for your support. I can't express the way I feel in words for the appreciation of this honor. I've been blessed 100-fold for the opportunities I received for education, sports, and to be able to give back. Thank you very much, everyone.
Please welcome from Portland, Dallas Elliot.
Thank you. I am humbled and truly in awe to be with this class of inductees. I have such admiration and respect for all of you. Dwight Metke, a hero of mine for his giant heart and his acrobatic play, not just his big dreamy smile. I swear. Although it is a little disappointed to see how you've let yourself go, Dwight. Looking out over the crowd of people here tonight, I can honestly say I've never felt so happy and blessed about the amount of hair I still have. In team sports, particularly lacrosse, you never win anything that you don't share with people. This honor would not be possible without the hundreds of teammates I had the pleasure of playing with. The coaches who all believed in my abilities and allowed me to play the way I was meant to play. Dan Mattinson, I want to thank you for giving me that leap of faith all those years ago. If I hadn't been a comic book fan already, you would have given me a great appreciation for the Incredible Hulk. Soft-spoken, brilliant, and strategic, but you don't want to see him when he's angry. I have Dave Evans to thank for being here in more ways than one. I have him to thank for the nomination. He was the player who made me want to play goal in the first place. And most of all, after watching him take balls off his chin countless times wearing his softball mask, I have him to thank for my numerous concussions. Even though he couldn't be here tonight, there's no time to say enough good things about Doc Hedges. He's been a great mentor, supporter, builder, and ultimately a good friend. I'm so fortunate mine is one of the countless lives and careers Doc has made better. And thanks most of all to the unforgettable people behind the scenes who volunteer countless hours to make it all possible. There are 2 seats empty tonight. No one could have been happier to be here than my mom and dad, George and Olga. My whole career I set out to prove one thing, and that was to prove one right and the other wrong. And as it turns out, that was a combination that worked for me. One of my last visits with my dad was the one where I got to tell him I was being honored by our home country. My dad was never one for sentiment or compliments, but that news made him proud and happy. I think that's all any man wants from his father in the end. Thanks to the Hall for giving both of us that gift. Darian Zander, I'm proud to be your husband and father, and George and Olga, I'll always be proud to be your son. Thank you.
After 35 senior and professional seasons, 4 championships, 6 top goaltender awards, an MVP award, and 8 All-Star appearances, we welcome to the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, Dwight Metke.
myself together. It's quite an honor to be up here, particularly when I'm inducted with Dallas, Doug Dashner and Ron Crusato, all players that I've, well, Ron, you know, you were terrific to be doing the games. I really appreciate it. And Doug, I'm hearing the thumping of the music down below, and it kind of full circle, the whole Severance thing, hey? Anyway, yeah. I'd like to thank everybody for coming here this evening, and particularly my family, many of whom have come from Alberta tonight. I'm sure with everybody that's been here, it's never been my intention of getting into the Hall of Fame. It wasn't something that you ever set a goal out for. I always started lacrosse with the whole, just the fact that I loved playing. And to have an opportunity to be in the Hall of Fame, it was never a goal, but it's a byproduct, and it's you know, extremely appreciative towards that. There are several people I would like to recognize for their contribution in my career. The first is my mom, Louise. Mom, you drove me to practices and games, you know, for all those years. You sat in the stands. In fact, I'm sure not many of you would know, but she sat in the stands of the games, and she took stats for me of the opposing players so I could review them before the next game. Thank you, Mom. The next is the guy that actually got me involved in lacrosse back in Alberta. His name is Warren Rendon. And he took a group of young kids and he made lacrosse fun. And he lit the fire in me for lacrosse. So thank you to Warren. I'd also like to thank Dan Mattinson. And here's a guy who is a 3-time defending Minto Cup champion coach. And he takes a chance on a kid from Alberta. And I really appreciate that. To Dave Wilfong, I don't think I see Dave here tonight, but Dave Wilfong, he gave me a chance, and he honed, I guess he instilled the offensive skills that I would work on, and it really helped my career, so thank you to Dave Wilfong. I'd like to also thank Walt Christensen for taking an old guy like me and giving me a chance, the opportunity to be part of a championship team. The next person I'd like to thank is somebody who has been involved with my career for over 30 years. And going back to giving, whether it was giving a goaltending clinic in Edmonton in 1978, to phoning me from somewhere in the States to congratulate me after my first WLA win, to even talking me out of quitting before the Ravens ever started. And that would be Dave Evans. And Dave, you've been a huge part, Dave's been a huge part of my career, and I would certainly not be standing here tonight if it wasn't for Dave. I'd also like to thank the many players that I played with over the years, too many to mention, but friendships that I've formed with them, that I still have friendships with today that last a lifetime. I'd like to recognize my opposing players for challenging me and making me motivated to be a better goaltender. Without them, I appreciate all the competition. I may not have always been successful, but I love the game, and I really appreciate that. And finally, I would like to thank Pushpa and my family, because they were there from the beginning right through to the end, and you know, I really appreciate that. I'd like to share one final story, that a moment that I had in my career, and it was back in 1990. I was playing for Philadelphia, and we were in the Spectrum, and as a goalie, I'm standing in the crease and I'm looking around, and there's probably 15,000 people out there, and I thought for a moment, it dawned on me that there's 15,000 people that have no idea who I am. They don't know me as a person. They really don't know if I'm any good or not. All they know is I'm their goalie. And I was a weird but lonely feeling standing out there. So tonight, when I'm standing here in front of my friends, family, and my peers to recognize in this honor, it's deeply moving to me, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
As I mentioned, goaltending statistics can be somewhat nebulous, but 5 consecutive Mann Cup victories and a total of 7 championships over a 5-year span are as clear as can be. And they spell a well-earned spot in the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame for Bill Geary. Now, Bill unfortunately could not be with us this evening. He's traveling in Europe and was not able to change his plans. So I'd like to ask Dean to accept on Bill's behalf. Dean?
First of all, coming from the East, I've been asked, the Ontario Lacrosse Association knew I was coming out here, and they wanted me to pass on their best wishes and congratulations to all of the inductees tonight. As I said when I got in, gentlemen, it's your night, enjoy it, and you'll forever remember it. And to Billy Armour, I don't know whether you remember it or not, but my bones shook when you come up here. Back at Gaiman Jr. in Brampton, you came out of the penalty box and you wailed me. And when you came up here, my bones were still hurting. And by the way, Bill, the Advertiser Trophy that you won has been renamed. It's been retired in Junior A, and it's now one of your hometown heroes. It's the Bobby Allen Trophy. So congratulations, and again, congratulations to everybody. It seems it's the night of the goalkeepers this year. I've seen them all play. I don't think the 2 Western goalies ever got to play against Bill in CLA competition. I know you did play with and against him. I'm usually not lost for words. I tried to get a hold of Bill. He's a phantom, to find out what he wanted me to say for himself. But as Dave alluded to, when Sohn phoned me and said, you're doing the little speech for Billy, and we had a year in Brampton, where I'm from. After the Mearnsey, he went over age in, I think, 1990, Randy, and we talked you into coming to Brampton, and Billy was on that team. And between Brampton and Six Nations, the pair of them played on 5 consecutive Mann Cup teams. I don't know whether that's a record, but if it's not, it's damn close to it. But anyway, on behalf of Bill, I will thank the selection committee back east for nominating him, electing him, and if he was here, he would have a lot more to say. But one thing in closing I will say, Bill has had a tough last 4 years. His 2 biological sons, Ryan and Chris, have both passed away from disease, and we in Ontario have named a goalkeeping trophy, the Sanderson Memorial, in memory of Chris and Ryan. But Ryan played on 2 Minnow Cup teams in Orangeville and a couple of Mann Cups down in Brampton. I don't think that Chrissy ever played on a Mann Cup. He stayed down in Virginia with lacrosse camps and so on, but he was the backstop for our 2006 World Championship team, and someday he will be here, and I'll be happy to be here to see him. So thank you very much on behalf of Bill Geary.
Tonight, this outstanding leader, both on and off the floor and field, is welcomed to the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. Please welcome Randy Mearns.
Here's leadership for you. It's about 11 o'clock right now, and there hasn't really been a lot of people at that bar for a while, so I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the St. Catharines Old Boys for the nomination to be put forth in front of the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame Selection Committee. I'd like to thank the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame Selection Committee, obviously, for bestowing this honor upon me. I'd like to congratulate all the other inductees for their induction into the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. It's an amazing honor. It's something that as we've kind of gone through this, you don't dream about. You don't play lacrosse, you don't coach lacrosse to try to get into a Hall of Fame. You do it because you love it, because you're passionate about it. And I knew when I was 4 years old, when Breen Snur told me at Bill Burgoyne Arena and asked me if I played lacrosse, and I said no, and I was kind of embarrassed by it, and I started to play. I just knew that I loved this game. You know, when Tony had called me about my induction, it was kind of unexpected. It was kind of a shock to me. And then over the last 2 months, I've had the opportunity to kind of collect my thoughts and kind of revisit this journey that we all go on. And you come to realize that there's just not enough time to thank everybody that's influenced your life, because that's thousands of people. But I would be remiss if there wasn't some people that I didn't mention tonight on this great occasion for myself and my family. You know, I kind of categorize it in really 3 categories, and I'll be brief, but it's really coaches and influencers. You know, it's your teammates, and then it's your family. Some of the people that have influenced me through my career as a player and as a coach are really when you first start out as a kid at 4 years old. 3 people come to mind: Jerry Galloway, Gary Hollowell, and Gordie Hollowell. They made the game fun. 4 years old, 5 years old, they just made the game fun. They made you want to come to practice. You know, as you kind of start to move along and you start to get to that junior age, Jim Brady and Brian Allen were very, very big influencers in my life. You know, being a young man, 16 through 21, you're trying to figure out life, and they held us accountable. And then in 1990, when we finally had the opportunity, a lot of guys that were B or C center guys, to mention some of the names, you know, Tyson Elias and Darius Kilgore, and we had the opportunity to come here to British Columbia for a Minto Cup. The first thing that we noticed was we went to, we stayed at the Royal Towers, which was kind of interesting because we'd never been here before, and there was a strip joint and a casino and a liquor store, and we're 21 years old, and like we played hard, and we kind of played hard after we played hard. So that was kind of a challenge, and fortunately enough, we were able to win. And what a great experience that was. And then you get into the senior realm, and that's just an amazing, you know, that's just an amazing thing in its own right. And when I look back of the guys that I played with, I mean, I played with a lot of guys that are the who's of lacrosse during the, you know, that late 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And you know, just like names like Jimmy Veltman and Tavares and the Kilgore brothers, and we had role guys, and I guess my role on the team was try to help collect all this thing together for our teams to win, and it was such an amazing experience. And one thing that we all had going for us was we had heart, we had work ethic, and we wanted to win. And we brought that to the table for every practice and every game, and it was an amazing experience. And again, I take this as a celebration of my teammates, because without them, I definitely would not be here. You know, when so you have those coaches, you have those teammates, and then it's family. Like everybody, my parents were very, very supportive and instrumental in my growth as an individual, as a lacrosse player. Mom was stay at home. Dad was the blue collar factory worker that just jacked asses all over the place, got us to all the tournaments, sacrificed. And as a son, I never wanted to let him down, and I always wanted to make Mom proud. And hopefully I've done that. I had an inspiration in my brother, Robbie Mearns. He's 7 years older than I am. He has class 7 cerebral palsy. And as I grew up, I watched him struggle and go through life and then overcome all the obstacles that he had to then at one time own 7 world records in the Paralympics. And as a young kid, 7 years younger, watching that, there was not a time in my upbringing that I thought I couldn't do anything, whether how big, how small, and he was a big inspiration, and I thank him for that. And then finally, to my wife Connie, who was probably instrumental, and Bob Perry doesn't know this really too much. In 1990, Dean McLeod and Peter Gross, as I was trying to figure out where I was going to go for senior, I was dating Connie at Canisius, and And as we were going through this dynamic, I was thinking about coming out to British Columbia. Dean kind of offered up, saying, "Well, hey, if you come to Brampton, then your girlfriend, she can be our trainer, and that would be kind of cool." And so Connie was our trainer for 5 years in Brampton and Six Nations, kept the boys healthy, and obviously we got married after that, and she's a beauty, and I love her. I got my 2 boys here, Tanner and Owen. Thank you for coming and making the trip out. They're getting ready to get back to their iTouches technology these days. But again, amazing experience. I'm so humbled and so proud to be a part of this. And that being said, I'm going to be done because I'm thirsty and I want to get to the bar, show my true leadership. Thank you.
Tonight we recognize his brilliant career and thank him for the geography lesson by enshrining him in the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. Please welcome Doug Dashner.
Good evening. Thank you for that warm introduction. I'm truly honored and humbled to be standing here tonight. Thank you to the Hall of Fame for this honor. I extend congratulations to the other inductees, especially tonight entering the hall with Keith, McLennan, Dwight Metke, and Dallas Elliot, all of whom I played with. Ron Crusato, what a great honor for you. I would love to know if Stan Shillington has, though, a stat on how many times you called me in the crease. Okay? When I showed up at Confederation Box for my initial type practice, I met my first and only minor coach, Zan Pacherko, who's here with me tonight. Zan taught me the skills of the game, but more importantly, he taught me about focus and commitment. For example, on a rainy night at Eaton Box as a tyke, I explained to Mr. Pacherko that I'd not be at the next practice because that was the first night of Cub Scouts. Zan looked at me and said, "Dougie Dashner, either you're going to be a lacrosse player or a Cub Scout. You choose." I gave him my answer, showed up at the next practice, and never became a Cub Scout. Thank you, Zan. When I first met Dan Mattinson, I was in minor lacrosse, and he was teaching junior teams about the art and science of lacrosse. Talk about being ahead of his time. Dan taught me about setting performance-based goals and the mental preparation of the game and life, skills that I use still today and as a player. Dan also employed me at D&J Sports and gave me my first taste of selling and managing. Thank you, Dan Mattinson. The other side of that D&J was Jack Crosby. Jack never coached me, but exposed me to the heroes of the junior team in Burnaby. He and those players inspired me to make lacrosse my focus, which resulted in setting the goal, as Dave said, of going to the US and playing field lacrosse. Jack's words for me as I was leaving for school were always with me during that time. Don't screw this up. I knew exactly what Jack meant. There were more players to come behind me. Richie Meade gave me the opportunity at Baltimore, and I'm forever grateful to Richie and for being able to play for one of the greatest coaches in NCAA history. And I think Randy would agree with that with me. Richie and I remain close to this day, though I've told him that we Canadians will have no mercy on his Team USA in Denver next year, where he's the head coach of Team USA. Richie taught me about deliberate practice and what it took to excel in sport and in life. And he was also the man that pointed me in the direction of business school. I want to thank Casey Cook, John Hanna, and the Salmon Belly organization for drafting me out of junior. Due to career moves, I played only my rookie season. When I wasn't sure if I should move away from BC and take that first real job opportunity, Casey looked at me and said, "Desh, you don't make any money playing lacrosse. You got to go." I still appreciate those words. As I started my business career, I decided that every move we made, I would find a place to play. I wanted to thank the teams and the key people that welcomed me over the years into each of those provinces. Larry Dean and Jim Burke in Alberta, Tom Parker and the crew in Manitoba, Peter Vipon, Stan Cockerton, Johnny Meridian in Ontario. And thank you to Chris Hall for allowing me to fulfill my lifelong dream of playing for Team Canada. Due to the moves we made, I had the privilege that many players never see or never get, and that is to be teammates with people from other provinces and other teams, guys that you only played against and guys you disliked intensely. I treasure the friendships I had and for being able to play with those teammates for all the years. And while I was fortunate to play with some of the greatest players ever, I'm just so proud of that, I also very fortunate to be blessed with a family of greats. Thank you to my mom and dad for lifelong guidance in getting me to the arenas and fields. Thank you to Kurt and Laurel Kurtenbach for being such wonderful and supportive in-laws. And thank you for my very extended family who are all here tonight, and my children who made the time and effort to be here. And lastly, to my wonderful wife, Vicki, who supported me through all our various moves, as well as being able to support me in my ongoing lacrosse addiction. I think she has given me reprieve finally on missing the birth of our son Max when I was in Perth, Australia for the World Championships in 1990. Thank you so much for this honor.
Please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Keith McLennan.
Hard to follow up Doug Dashner after listening to that story, but that was one of the things that brought us a lot closer together too, is coming from Manitoba. It's a bit more of a challenge when our total numbers for lacrosse players are 800, 900 or 1,000. I'd like to thank all the induction committee for myself being up here, and also to all the other inductees. It's just, we sit here in awe when you're in Manitoba. BC and Ontario, like you say, it's all BC and Ontario because there's so many players, so many involved in the sport. In Manitoba, it's always more of a challenge. But when that's what you're brought up with, that's what you see, that's what I enjoyed. All my family is here from Manitoba, my brothers, my sister. I've got friends that I didn't even know were coming that showed up. It's just phenomenal. It's just great to have this opportunity to come up here. I started playing when I was 7 or 8 because my brother played. I went down to the local club at Kelvin, which was the hub for lacrosse in Winnipeg, and as soon as I saw it, that's what I wanted to do. I had my stick with me in the morning going to school. I threw on the ball every morning before school, after school. I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. It was great, and we had that opportunity to travel. You couldn't ask for anything more. That's all I wanted to do. We started playing field in '81, and it was in a period in Manitoba where lacrosse was dying a bit. We were down in numbers to like 200 people playing lacrosse. We've got it back up to about 1,000 now in box and field, and it's great. Like, I loved it. It was just awesome. There was nothing else I could say. I was more of an offensive player, as I'm sure Joey Harris would attest to. Didn't know many of my goalies, didn't want to come back that far. Stay up front, and like you say, so you hone your skills with your stick a little more. Well, then they say, yeah, you stay up there, we'll get the ball to you. That made it a lot easier too, that's for sure. Our province now, though, has some guys that have moved on with scholarships and field lacrosse across, and that's what we're trying to push now. We're trying to promote that as much, get more kids involved, and get Manitoba more involved in the lacrosse across Canada. And that's what it's all about. I'll do this for the next 10 years. I've coached so much. I've got my youngest son, Trent, plays box and field now. My other son, Derek's been involved in everything we do. My wife was a field lacrosse player. So it's definitely in our blood, and that's what it's all about. Thank you. I'm very proud of this honor, and thank you very much.